We're practicing draft presentations, but it's much more difficult to practice fielding questions. Even if we do question and answer sessions here in class, the bottom line is that most of the questions that you actually get asked you have not prepared for, no matter how it works out in the class setting. This is partly because the people in the class are already too familiar with your project so that they don't ask the kinds of dumb questions or off-the-wall questions, or sometimes the particularly critical questions that they could be asking but aren't going to because they've read the whole project from start to finish. Because of that, you're just going to have to wing it, but there are some things that will help you wing it better. And that's why we have this little lecture on 10 tips for fielding questions when you're giving your presentations. The first point is to always keep in mind that you are an expert on this subject. You have spent weeks and weeks researching and writing about this project. You have had 40 minutes of paid consulting time with 2 experts on the Middle East. You have what input I have been able to give you. You have had critical input from your fellow students, and at this point you know more about this particular narrow topic than probably anyone else at this university. So you're an expert. You do not have to be nervous that someone's going to ask you a question that is that you can't answer, that you don't have an answer for. If you don't have an answer, there may not be an answer out there. Have confidence in your own knowledge. Second, follow the questioner's lead. If people give you a direct question, try to answer with a direct response. You can then follow it with explanations and additional considerations. If someone asks you a yes-no question, then say yes, because, and then go into the data, or say no, for these reasons, and give them that information. Try not to take a simple question and provide so much background and context before you get to answer the question that both you and the audience lose track of what the question was. Number 3, be friendly, but be to the point. Smile when you talk. It'll make you sound friendlier and more pleasant, no matter what it is that you're actually saying. Number 4, don't guess at answers. If you don't know the answer, admit it, but bear in mind that if you don't know the answer, it's probably not entirely relevant to your project, and you might want to think about that as you're giving your answer. Take a moment to figure out why you don't know the answer to that question, and then explain that to the person who asked the question. Number 5, appreciate the stump questions. It rarely happens that someone in the audience can ask a question that is to the point, that is directly related to the project that you're presenting. It's not an off-the-wall, offbeat question, and yet you don't know the answer. If that's the case, let them know you don't know the answer and express appreciation for it. We learn when we get stumped, and you need to recognize that although this is a performance where you want to show a lot of confidence, you don't want to fake it. You want to be real, and if you really don't know the answer, be grateful that they've pointed it out, because the bulk of your grade is not this presentation. The bulk of your grade is the final project you're going to turn into me, and by stumping you, they've made you aware of something that's missing in that presentation, in that final project, and you want to go back and fix it. Number 6, keep notes. The presentations are not merely a hoop you have to jump through to get through the course. They're part of your learning process. The presentations can help you with the finished project. We've already talked about the way that they can help you by putting your ideas into a much more linear narrative fashion. But the Q&A can help you because it's going to make you aware of the kinds of things that people are wondering about when you've given this very tight, carefully constructed, pointed version of your project. So someone in the group should be keeping track of what's asked so that you guys can debrief later and decide if the questions were relevant for your rewriting process. Number 7, always remember that you are representing your client. This is really important because often students will act as if you're supposed to be solving the problem, as if you're supposed to be coming up with some kind of a solution that allows some deus ex machina to just come in and fix everything. And one of the things that you can do in the Q&A is you can bring them back to reality. And you can say, that would be a great idea if there were an agency out there who had the power to do that, or if funding existed for something like that. However, our client is the Egyptian government, or the U.S. State Department, or the UN High Commission on Refugees. And within their mandate and their budgetary restrictions, this is where we think we can maximize our effect. And that's a perfectly legitimate way to answer questions where they're trying to get you to solve the world's problems as if there's some, agency that's going to come in and be able to do that. If only it were that easy. Number 8, be firm. You put a lot of work into this project. There are reasons why you guys made the decisions you made. And you need to be comfortable having made those decisions and stick to them. So if you believe you're right and they're asking questions that the question why you decided to do things the way you did, explain to them why you went that route, and stand on your own reasoning. Number 9, be familiar with the whole project. This PowerPoint is just the tip of the iceberg, right? It's a 20-minute presentation of a 40 to 60 page policy analysis that has taken you months to research and write. And when you give this presentation, you're giving this summary version, and they're going to ask you questions based on that summary version. And the questions are where you have an opportunity to delve into the depths of the work that you have done over the course of this semester. I will say that if they're stumping you a lot with questions, and they're asking a lot of questions you don't have the answer to, it means your policy analysis paper is not adequate and has missed a lot of points. But I don't think you're going to find that's the case. Most students don't. Finally, one way to stay relaxed and firm and comfortable is to be a teacher. Not one of those teachers who stands up and drawing on a chalkboard with his back to the audience, putting down things so that they can take them down in notes, or the person who is reading off of a slideshow. You want to step forward and be the kind of person who is confident in their knowledge, passionate about their subject, and truly eager to help the audience understand the nature of the problem and the nature of the solutions that you're offering, and why your solutions are better than any of the other options that are out there. So good luck. I'll be watching with interest. I'll add one additional codicil quick here at the end. One of the things that puzzles me a lot is I'll be, I've read your projects, I've followed you from start to finish, and I'll be sitting in the audience and I'll be listening to students fail to answer questions or badly answer questions that are clearly present in their projects and that I know they can answer. And in fact, I could answer them for them. And that's always painful, but it happens every year. Try not to be those students. Try to be confident, knowledgeable, and capable of explaining any aspect of your project to anyone who asks questions about it. And if you can, then you'll do great. I'm looking forward to seeing your presentations.